Right, Rabbi Isai, Siman Tov Pei Daled, Hilchos Pesach, the bottom of page Sadi Aleph. We're discussing today Siman Tov Pei Daled. Misharoitze Lasis HaSeder Bahar Bebotim. Somebody wants to make Seder in a number of houses. Ubai Siv Hechad Be'ezras Hashem Yisborach. Says the Shulchan Aruch, Sif Aleph. Man the boy Livruchi betray a bitlos party. Somebody who's conducting the Seder in a number of houses. First, he conducts the Seder, he makes Kiddush, says the Haggadah, Matzah, Morer, Afikoman in his own house, V'ochel, and he eats Kol and Tzorich, everything he needs, the Suda, Afikoman, Mevorech, Berikas Hamazon, and he benches and has the third cup of wine. And then he goes on his travels. V'hoda Mevorech, and then he goes and conducts the Seder l'chol chad v'chad b'beisei in each individual house that he's going to. As the halacha explains, regardless of whether it's for men or for ladies, because ladies are also obligated in the mitzvahs halaylo, afin hoya b'is hanes. So he goes to these houses. V'shasi inu kosa de kiddusha. They drink the cup of kiddush. Although he's recited the Haggadah and he's recited the kiddush and he's recited the Haggadah, but they drink the cup of wine. Matzah, they eat the karpas, they eat the morer, and he's conducted the entire Seder. But he doesn't eat or drink with them. And he leaves them so decide to complete their Suda. And they bench themselves. If they don't even know how to bench themselves, he should read the benching word by word, and they will copy after him, repeat after him each word. But you should not recite the benching for them. Now, that's the first house, and we'll see it continues in other houses in a similar way. Now, the question is, how does this work? Surely, if he's fulfilled his mitzvah already, he's fulfilled his kiddush, he's fulfilled his mitzvah of Haggadah, he's recited the brachos already, matzah, morer, how can he recite these brachos again for these people? Surely he's fulfilled his mitzvah already. How can he recite the brachos? And to the other extreme, if we'll say he can recite the brachos, so why when it comes to benching do we say they should bench themselves, he shouldn't bench for them, and at worst, at most, he should say word for word, they can copy, say after him word for word, and they'll be reciting the benching, but not him. So to understand this, we have to understand one introductory thought, and that is as follows. When it comes to Berachas Hanenim, when it comes to reciting bracha on a food, for example, a normal standard Tuesday, my friend wants to eat an apple and he doesn't know how to recite the bracha. So, if I were to say the bracha for him, Baruch Atah Hashem, Berei Pri Ha'etz, and he says Amen and eats his apple, that would be an invalid bracha, because he's obligated. He wants to eat the apple. He's obligated in the bracha. There's no obligation on me to recite his bracha, and therefore that would be invalid. The way that it would be valid would be is if he wants to eat the apple and I want to eat the apple, I make a bracha Berei Pri Ha'etz on my apple, and he's yotze shemek oina through hearing my bracha. That's fine. When it comes to berachas hamitzvahs, however, brachas that are required in order to perform a mitzvah, for example, al achilas matzah, which is required to fulfill the mitzvah of eating matzah, al achilas morer, which was required to eat the mitzvah to fulfill the mitzvah of eating morer, or even the hamoitzi, which is required on the Seder to facilitate the eating of the matzah, or the hardoma, which is required on the Seder night to facilitate the eating of the karpas, which is a mitzvah. So then we have the following rule, that since my friend is obligated to fulfill the mitzvahs of the night, to eat matzah, to eat morer, etc., so I'm also obligated to make sure he eats that matzah and to make sure he eats that morer. Because there's a principle called arvus, responsibility. All Jewish people are responsible for each other to ensure we all fulfill our obligation. So therefore, since my friend is obligated to eat matzah, therefore I'm obligated to make sure my friend eats matzah. So to that extent, I can also recite a bracha of hamoitzi and a bracha al achilas matzah to enable him to fulfill his obligation. That works and that's valid. That is a valid bracha because I am obligated in the bracha in as much as I've got to make sure he does fulfill his mitzvahs halayla, his mitzvah to eat matzah, morer, etc. So therefore, although I've recited Kiddush, I've eaten my matzah, done my afikomen, etc., but I can make Kiddush again, I can make a gofen again, I can make all the brachas, Achilas matzah, hamoitzi, hamor, I can make all the brachas for him, for the family who can't fulfill their mitzvah without me reciting the brachas. I can make the brachas because they're all considered obligatory brachas for me, because I've got to make sure that he fulfills his obligation. However, there's one exception to this, and that is benching. Although you would have thought, well, if my friend's obligated, he's eating, he's obligated to bench, so therefore I should also be obligated to make sure he fulfills his obligation to bench, and I can bench for him. So for that, the Mishnah Brura brings here that there's a special a limud, a special teaching that when it comes to benching, only the one who's actually eaten can bench, and I can't bench for somebody else. And the only way he can be yoked to benching is if I haven't eaten, is if he repeats each word for word after me. That is generally, that is the understanding of this sif. So again, although I've fulfilled all my mitzvahs halayla already, but I can say again all the brachos, etc., so he can fulfill his mitzvahs halayla, with the exception of the benching. Shulchan Aruch continues, and then I go to l'achrina, I can go to a third house. Do the same thing. Go to another house, complete the Hallel in the last house I go to. If I would like to finish the Hallel in that house, I could do so. And have that last cup with the Hallel in whichever house I decide to complete the Hallel. Boy, in another way would be, if I want, like first I could do my rounds, go to all the various houses, help them all fulfill their obligations, baruch luhu, bake brachas for them without eating anything, without tasting anything. While the Azal, the base of the Kaddish, come home and start the Seder from the beginning. Then Yirtzeh to the other extreme. If I want, Yigmar HaKol B'Beisai, I can complete the entire Seder with the Hallel and everything till the very end. And after that, go on my rounds to various houses, making all the brachas for them, helping them right through the Seder, with the exception, of course, of benching. But again, I wouldn't be able to eat and drink with them, because since I've concluded my Seder, so then I won't be able to again have anything with them. Let's go through this in the Mishnah Brura, taking it from Sif Koton Aleph. Again, so man the boy livruchi betray b'taspati. Somebody wants to conduct the Seder for a number of families. Sif Koton Aleph mishum she'ein behem mishi yadei lekadish v'magoda, because they don't have anybody for them who knows how to fulfill the obligations. Ideally, the Mishatim points out it would be ideal that they should do it themselves rather than I do it for them. If they can't do so, I can help them fulfill all their mitzvahs and do all the recitations, the brachos, etc. for them. So first I make the brachos. It doesn't just mean brachos, it means I conduct the Seder in my house. Kiddush, Hagoda, Hakoil, Kaseda, everything in order. Everything I do the Seder in my house as always, add Birkas Hamazon until the benching. Benching in the third cup. But before benching, if I've had my afikomen, for example, I shouldn't then go to other people's houses, because it's inappropriate to go from one house to another house before benching, because there's a concern you might not bench, you might not bench, and as discussed in Sivan Kufay and Chesiv base, middle of a bread meal, if you plan to eat there more, which obviously wouldn't be the case if you finished the afikomen. This perhaps would be the case if I haven't had my afikomen yet, middle of Shulchan Aruch, somebody else has planned to eat more. It's still not to be done. Although here we're doing it for a mitzvah to enable the other family to do the Seder, but it's not necessary to do it in this order. I could finish my meal, bench, and then have the third cup and then go over there. Therefore, it's not a mitzvah need that would permit a person to go to somebody else's house in the middle of a meal. That's really a Hilchos Brachos discussion in Siman Kufay and Ches. Sif Koton Daled. So then, I have completed my Seder till after Shulchan Aruch, Hagofen, after the third cup, then I go to somebody else's house. And then I conduct the Seder there. Sif Koton Daled, that means to make Kaddish Lahem, to make Kiddush there, Mevorech Lahem, to make Brachos, Garboy Pri Hagofen, not just the Kiddush, the Hagofen as well, because that's also required in order for them to fulfill their Kiddush obligation. Mevorech Lebirkas Karpas, I can even say Hadama for Karpas, the second cup. Again, Birkas Hamoitzi, Birkas Alachilas Matzamora, all the brachas, the entire Seder, I say for them, and they can eat whatever they need to eat. Falgav, says the Mishnah Brura, an important point we discussed. Although the B'shar Birkas Hanenin, generally speaking, during the week, came along, we take on I can't make a bracha for you or for somebody else, unless I'm also eating the same apple as you. I'm also eating apple while you're eating apple. I'm eating a pear for that price. It makes no difference. The point is that I can only make a bracha for you with regard to birchas hanen and benefiting type of brachas on food, etc. Only if I'm also benefiting from the food. Shani birkas lechem shahamatza v'kiddush hayom shem chayva. The brachas I'm reciting in this situation at the Seder are obligatory brachas, because otherwise you won't be able to, the other family won't be able to perform the mitzvahs of the night. It won't be to their matzah, they can't eat their matzah or their wine. I can therefore make all brachas, even hanen type of brachas like hamoitzi and hagefen, afshin, and although I myself am not benefiting from it, even the Radama on the Karpas, Gamkin Choshev Mitzvah, so all the brachas I can recite, although I'm not actually eating with them. Yarki, the Yerokes, the vegetables, I know Karpas and Morar, but I don't eat with them. Why can't I eat with them? Well, I've already eaten afikomen, but also sure I can't eat anymore. One doesn't eat after the afikomen, one keeps the taste of the afikomen in one's mouth. Also I can't drink. We know already the concerns of drinking after the third cup, the concern of moist falakosis, there's a concern of tasting after afikomen, there's also a concern of shikrus, etc., becoming drunk. Right, but with regard to benching, birkas hamazon after they have eaten, that's the only thing I can't do for them. Can't bench for them. The birkas hamazon the benching I can only fulfill somebody else's obligation only if I eat as well, and then they can hear me and with my bracha, which I'm reciting for myself. I can't bench for someone else. Because the pasuk says, somebody who's eaten and associated, he blesses Hashem. Somebody who eats, he can bench. Somebody who doesn't eat, cannot bench. There's also other reasons discussed in Simon Tov, in Simon Kuf Tzadi Zayin, other reasons why somebody who's not eating can't bench for his friend, unlike all other birkas hamitzvahs, brachos made on a mitzvah. Yeah, I know if they can't bench, so then I'll lead them word for word. They'll repeat after me every word of benching. Might be quite tedious, but that's how it will be done. So you've got ches yikra milah b'milah. Then answer afterwards. The kol shekira milah b'milah. They have a bracha of Atala. Although I'm saying each word, including Hashem's name, perhaps you'd think that for me it's a bracha of Atala. That's not the case. Although I don't need that benching because I've already benched. I'm teaching them how to make a bracha. When it comes to teaching someone how to make a bracha, you can make a bracha with Hashem's name, etc., and it's not considered a bracha of Atala. It's considered a constructive bracha, and that is fine. It's important to know. I can't bench for anybody any day of the year, regardless of whether it's Seder night or any other night. Although that has to be done by the person himself. If they don't know how to, somebody doesn't know how to bench, and you haven't eaten with them, then you can, the way to do it is you say word for word and they repeat after you. Sivkat and Tes, v'loi ochil. The Shulchan Aruch says if an alternative way is that I could first go to all their houses and then eat in my own house. Yeah, and meaning that I go to all their houses without eating and drinking anything. Why can't I eat or drink anything in their houses? Says the Mishnah Brura, to also ditim kiddush Sivkat and Tes. I am not using their kiddush. The kiddush I'm reciting for them is not kiddush to fulfill my obligation, and the person's not allowed to eat before kiddush. If he wants to use the kiddush he's reciting for them in their houses, then kiddush has to be followed by suda. Kiddush has to be b'makom suda, has to be followed by suda. Therefore, if I do want to use their kiddush to be able to eat something, I have to say kiddush for them and then eat something there, because kiddush has to be followed by a suda. Yigmar Akil. An alternative is that I finish my entire Seder, not just till after benching, but till the end of the Seder, till Chasal Seder Pesach, and then I go on my rounds. So you've got Yud Afiru Halo. Again, once I've finished the Seder also I can't eat or drink with them because one can't eat or drink after the Afi Kaiman. Obviously, water I could still drink because water doesn't infringe on any of the three issues: issue of Moisvalakosis, issue of coming shikah, or issue of taking away the taste of the Afi Kaiman, which we've discussed on previous occasions. Hope that was clear. Siman Tov Pei Hey. Din mi matzah, the law of somebody who makes a swear, who promises not to eat matzah, or boisi v'echad makes a shvur not to eat matzah. What's this talking about? The Torah obligates a person to eat matzah. The Torah says you have to eat matzah. It says the Shulchan Aruch, Sif Aleph. If a person says shavua, I prohibit myself shle'echel matzah to eat matzah, then also le'echel matzah le'el Pesach. He can't eat matzah on the night of Pesach. Although the Torah says he must eat matzah on le'el Pesach. Yeah, but we'll see the Mishnah explains. This shavua is a shavua which is a very widespread shavua. That means matzah is not just is not just eaten on the first night of Pesach. Matzah is eaten, could even be eaten throughout the year. And therefore it's called shavua, which is a very large shavua, all-encompassing type of shavua. And that is effective. And now he can't eat matzah on Pesach. If he says if he specifies I'd make a shvur, I'm not I can't eat matzah, prevent myself from eating matzah on the night of Pesach, then which really basically means is understood to mean the mitzvah's matzah, the matzah eaten for the mitzvah. Well, then that's a ridiculous mitzvah, a shvur, because the shvur is not valid. The Torah says you have to eat matzah on the night of Pesach, and therefore one gets malchus for making a shvur shav an invalid shvur. And he does eat matzah on the night of Pesach. Let's see this inside in the Mishnah Brura. He makes a general shvur not to eat matzah, and then Pesach is included in it, obviously. Whether this shvur was said before Pesach, on the night of Pesach. He didn't just prohibit himself from eating the matzah of mitzvah. The matzah was to perform mitzvah. This shvur is an all-encompassing shvur. But after matzah, so all matzah, he prohibits himself on all matzah. Therefore, the shvur is valid because it's called the shvur, which is koilel. It's all-encompassing. The shvur chal b'koilel dvarim amatorim and dvarim asurim b'sheb al taisin. Such a shvur, a passive type of shvur, not to do something. So since it's valid for the rest of the year, or the rest of the time he prohibits himself from eating matzah, so it's also valid on the night of Pesach. Nevertheless, the poskim say the mitzvah l'hatish shvur, he's obligated to annul his shvur. In order to be able to perform the mitzvah matzah, he should go to a rav who will annul the shvur. If, however, he says specifically the shvur is not to matzah on the night of Pesach, well, that's in direct contrary to the mitzvah. So, base by saying the night of Pesach, it's clearly directing his shvur to the mitzvah of matzah on that night. And therefore, like us, if God can he gets malchus mishmur shvur shab, because this shvur is invalid. You can't make a shvur to prohibit yourself doing a mitzvah. And therefore, the mitzvah is not valid, and he gets malchus for making a shvur shav an invalid shvur, and he eats the matzah. Mikol says the Mishnah Brura, this is all discussing a shvur where the person forbids himself. There's something else called a neder, which is also referred to as a koidem. That's a way of making a neder, which is when he forbids the item itself. He doesn't forbid himself from eating the item. He forbids the item. The item is forbidden. If a person prohibits the matzah from being eaten, the prohibition is on the matzah, not on the person, then also b'achilas matzah. Then he is forbidden to eat matzah, the neder chalal v'mitzvah, because he's not gone against his own obligation to eat matzah. He will theoretically be able to eat matzah, just matzah is forbidden to him. It's not a prohibition on himself, it's a prohibition on the matzah. And therefore he won't be able to eat matzah because the practical issue that the matzah is prohibited to him, just like any animal which is prohibited to him can't be eaten. Nothing to do with him, it's to do with the animal. Any food item which he can't eat. If a person says, mitzvah, he says, a shavua, I won't eat the morer of a mitzvah. This is interesting because the mitzvah morer is only drabanan, and yet the shavua is an idea min Torah. So also b'achilas morer, he can't eat morer. The morer bisman hazeh drabanan, because since morer is drabanan, therefore the Torah, according to Torah outlook, then the shvua is valid. Shvua chayla mitzvah d'Rabbanan, it's valid, and therefore he can't eat this mitzvah d'Rabbanan, this moral he can't eat, because the shvua is absolutely valid. Min ha-Torah. The Torah never obligated a person to eat moral on Seder night. Therefore, the Torah says the shvua is valid. No problem. Can't eat the moral. Similarly, Shamar, he says to Abakaisis, it makes a shvua not to eat the 4 cups. It would be valid to become Akam. Nevertheless, so we force him also to annul his shvua by going to a Rav. Similarly, of 3 people, a person says, I make a shvua not to matz on the second night again. Matz on the second night is a Drabanan. We know really the dates. We know the second day is Midrabanan. That obligation is even a matz obligation on the second night. Pesach is Drabanan. Person makes a shvua, he won't eat matzah on the second night. The shvua is valid. Nevertheless, he's got a problem. He can't eat matzah. So he should go to Rav and annul the matzah. Now, Michaela, the shvua is valid. Also, it's forbidden on him. So we force him to fulfill this mitzvah d'Rabbanan, the mitzvah to eat matzah. Thank you.